Good day, folks. Welcome to our discussion on Application Project 1 for Financial Statement Analysis. I encourage you to listen to the video, take notes, and make sure you understand what the requirements are for the project. The objective of this project is for you to apply concepts discussed in class to a real company using real data. The project is worth 10 points, 10% of your grade, and there are 4 distinctive parts of the project, and the points for each section are identified when those instructions are given, which we'll take a look at in a moment. It is due no later than 11:59 on February 21st, 2022. The submission is PowerPoint. Put in audio or video commentary to explain things. I think we do better when we explain things. And that way your slides won't be all that crowded with tons of information. You'll be talking your way through it. How are we going to grade this project? Organization and presentation are very important. This is the communication aspect, 25%. Communication demonstrates understanding if you start and think about it for a moment. Accuracy of computations and formulas is 25%. Clarity and depth of responses is 30%. A big piece of it. Do you really understand it, or are you really asking a question? So if you find when you review it that you are asking a question, then you need to go and answer that question. And then how are the topics integrated? Everything we're doing here is integrated. So how does one area impact another? How do they relate to each other? One of the more important things for you to do is to proofread and make sure what you're submitting, you've answered the questions and thought about it. Because remember, organization and presentation is worth 25%. So you will need to pick a company, okay? I have a number of them here. You can pick from FedEx, Valero, Toll Brothers, Freeport, McMoran, Visa, Darling, or pick your own. However, if you pick your own, you need to talk with me before you start it. Some companies you can do that there's a lot of information. Other companies will not have enough information for you to do that, or the business will be so complex that it will be very difficult to do. And we want to keep it that it's a challenge for you and that you'll learn, but we don't want to make it crazy for you. And you're going to be working on this project, on this company in project 1, 2, 3, and 4. What are the mechanics? Where do you get information from this project? You should use the 10K to 10Q. The most current reporting is important. There's investor presentations, infographics. Those are your primary sources of information. Okay, we can use the Wall Street Journal, we can use Bloomberg, we can use Morningstar, but the data should come from the 10K and 10Q. If you take the data from Yahoo or anything like that, we're not going to have the precision that you need to do this. And let's keep going. The first step, the company and how do they make money? 3 points. What's the company's name and logo? What are the products and services sold by the company? Who are the company's customers? Think carefully. It's not always the end user. So let's take, for example, in the beer business, Molson Coors, Sam Adams, they produce beer, but they don't sell to you and I as the consumer. They sell to wholesalers who distribute it to bars, restaurants, stores to sell. So the customers are not you and I, because there's a number of people ahead of us that make the distributor makes the decision on what to have, and it's going to go to the store or the bar. So think carefully, not always the end user. What makes the company unique? How do they make money? What are the revenue drivers? Now, we'll talk about this again, and there are a couple of background videos on this. Volume driver and rate at a detailed level. The volume driver is a non-financial metric. It's not anything in dollars. It's a unit of measurement. So in beer, it could be barrels, could be liters, because it is a volume. The rate driver is a dollar value per that volume. We need to do it at a detailed level. And you can prove that, show when you actually take what you compute as the value driver and rate driver, calculate it, and see if you get close to sales. Do that for 2 years. I think you're going to find you will. The section should be 4 to 6 slides as a max. Let me just give you a couple of examples here. This is Destination XL. They have 345 stores. They have a unique customer, males of all ages, waist size 38 and up, so they're for people that are tall and people that are wide. These customers value convenience, comfort, selection, and fit over price. Okay, they have the largest selection of big and tall brands. They have a one-stop shopping at its best. They've got wider aisles, they got larger changing rooms, trained staff, and they have 345 stores. How do they make money? Well, number of store times sales per store. So they had 342 stores and an average sale per store of 1.36 million. That's the level of comparison, is the same store sales, and it gives me what the actual revenue was, and I'm very close there. I'm exact. But what's important is now, how can they make more money? They either have to increase the number of stores or they have to sell more in each store. When we want to analyze and forecast, we have to see how much is each component delivering. That's Destination DXL. Next one, which you'll become more familiar with as we move forward, is a company called Steel Dynamics. STLD is the stock ticker. It's one of the most largest diversified U.S. steel producers. It produces 11.4 million tons of capacity. And their customers are manufacturers in the following industries. So they break it down. These are the products. They do flat roll, structural rail, merchant bar, specialty shapes. This is the first slide on who they are that I put together between their investor deck and their 10K. This information, again, is right out of their reports. And here they show us the dollar amount of sales. And here is the average sales price. And that gives us the unit of measurement in pounds. Okay. And what you can see here is the average sales price. We're looking at the last quarter. And I've updated these in the worksheets that you have. 988 is the external price. And they sold 2,489,000 pounds of tons of steel. So there's the computed. So I've come really close to that. But they need to either sell more volume or the price. This becomes important because when we start making assumptions, especially with inflation and increase in interest rates, this external price may change. Okay, and if that price of the product is changing and the volume holds the same, we're going to be better to forecast that, but we can go back and historically look at what happened. And I further broke it down between metals, the different segments of the business: metals recycling, steel fabrication, and steel operations. So just to give you an example, I got all this information here. And if I look from 16 to 17, what I was able to do is break things down under steel operations. Here's the dollar amount. Okay, this was the dollar amount in 17, and the difference of $1,304,000. Well, what happened? Well, I computed that tonnage went from 8,963 to 9,349, up 386,000 tons. Price per ton went from 654 to 113 to 767. So it's going up. So now I can take this $1.3 billion and I can break it down and say, wait a minute, 252 million was a result of increased production volume. and $1,056,000 was a result of sales, the rate change. And that comes pretty close to the same number. So we've explained the both. So I think it becomes, as we're looking at it, when you look at your companies, we want to be able to do this, to understand what's driving it. Because if it's volume, that's fine. It's no right or wrong answer. It's how we interpret and how we use that information. So there's an example for you. That's 3 points. Next thing is, what's the strategy of the company? And this is worth 3 points. And what I'd like you to do is on a single slide, what are the 3 strategies the company is planning on implementing to grow revenues in the future? Not make more money, pure revenue. So make sure you don't have anything in there that is a cost reduction or efficiency. We're looking at revenue growth. Okay? That's 3 points. Most of the time you can find this in the investor presentation. You can use the investor slides as appropriate. And keep relating the investor presentation slides to the rate volume you identified. So if you're in the case of stores, what I'd want to, in case of destination extra large, what I would do is I would look at how many stores do they plan to open. So I would look at everything relative to that. What are the actions they're going to take to number of stores? What are they going to do to increase same-store sales? In the case of STLD, what are they going to do to grow the volume of sales? What's going to happen with pricing, especially with inflation today? What are they going to pass through? What's their strategy to hold the margin? Do they have one? These become really important as we move forward because we want to connect strategy to financial results. Quantify the future impact. It's not going to be exact, I'll tell you that. Just rough estimates is fine. An example of from Steel Dynamics, their strategy 1 is to expand existing capacity by building new lines and mills. They're going to expand the product lines by acquiring companies. I put a list on. What are the risks to this strategy? Well, there's a long time framework to construct new facilities and acquire companies. Demand may change. The other risks are ability to keep projects within budgets, ability to find acquisitions at a fair price. And where did I get this? Well, I went through the investor slide deck and I found this slide here that tells me here's their catalyst, what are they going to do? So you really want to understand the company, and this will give us a pretty good example of what they're going to do. Then they're going to expand value-added products, higher margin, by growing organically within the company. They're focused on markets that are poised for growth, such as infrastructure. We have the infrastructure bill, so that will create it. Plans to increase utilization and diversify product offerings, increase sales. See the following for detail. So here's what I did to do that, the growth initiative. I found a slide. Next thing, megatrends. We talked about these, and I'd like you to identify, take the strategies that you identified in the previous section, and just how do they fit with the mega themes that we've seen about globalization, changing demographics, climate change, disruption, innovation, digitalization, and AI. So what you would do is on the bottom of each slide, what you're going to do is you're going to explain their strategy and comment on how does that fit with the mega trends. Are they paying attention to those mega trends? The last thing is to review the company's website. Do they have an ESG report? If so, what are the key components? Does the most recent 10K have any disclosure on ESG? If so, what is disclosed? That's 2 points. That's the 4 parts. Again, here's a simple picture that came right out of their sustainability report. And I interpreted that and said, where's their focus? They don't use the words ESG, if you note. Their focus is on safety and environmental impact. They have measurements and strategies for improvement. Other areas are general with no measurements. They don't tell us anything. So I reviewed the 10K. Is there any other litigation or discussions about ESG. What should you expect? Let me be straightforward. Spend time reading the investor presentation in the 10K. I honestly suggest you take about 90 minutes. Yeah, that's right, 90 minutes, just reading before you do anything. Understand the company. Be wary about hanging on to too narrow a piece of the company. Try to take that broad picture. This 90 minutes will be the best time you ever spent. Remember, all of these application projects build on each other. So know how the 10K is laid out. Get it in your head. Get familiar with the company. There's a lot of investor presentations that are out there, but also at the end of the year, there's webcasts of earnings calls and discussions. So if you're walking, running, working out, and you have your earbuds in, listen to it, okay? You can learn an awful lot and get that sense of the company. Everything you need is going to be in those two documents, okay? In the project, will take you 4 to 5 hours after you spend 90 minutes. So you should plan on 6 hours, 7 hours to do this project, okay? But this is foundational. Once you do this, the next piece builds on it. So if you don't complete this and really identify those drivers, you're going to be behind, and each subsequent project is going to get harder and harder for you. So take the time and do it right. If you have any questions, please let me know.